That's right. It's 5 o'clock on Friday. It is time to get in the car and get home. I call shotgun. Let me ride with you, because I got to smoke. So let's ride. Camacho presents his podcast with me, BTCG, episode 03737, baby. Burr, 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 burr. I have that on my little mixing deck over here, but it never does right. So it's just easier for me to go, bah, 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 bah. And so I got some fun things to talk about today. I got some rumors to spread. I got some false information to throw out to you. And I don't know if it's real or if it's not, but I want to talk about it. I want to find out what you think. I want to get you to kind of do the research for me. Why? Because I'm lazy. No, because you're awesome. Yeah, and I am lazy. But you could, maybe something. I know you know a lot, but maybe you know this. It'd be kind of nice. But I gotta smoke a cigar. I'm Bob the Cigar Guy. Not that I gotta, but I wanna. And I got a cigar that I have fallen in love with. Well, in like with. I falled in love with the first lady. Love my kids, love my grandkids. Love you too. Cigar? No, I don't set fire to anything I love. I sure do like it a lot. Love adjacent. And that is this Avo Nicaragua. The soul that is imbued in this, it just comes out in the flavors. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. I got these right before PCA. Did a review with them, and I just banging. And I was starting to organize the wall behind me because I threw the sticks in the one box in the one thing when I had the one thing, and then we got the second one, so I just started throwing more boxes in there. Then I got the third one, and I just threw boxes in there, so I just smoothed it out. But I really haven't organized it. And Chief talked about it because it'd be nice if we had all of our cigars from different manufacturers and different places and stuff like that. I do have them segmented out for if I have cigars for review. They're in a special place. They got a little sticker on them for Steven, not the Chief, not to open them up, and me not to open them up until I do the review. But other than that, some special sticks that he has and I have. I really haven't balanced them out, and so I'm sitting here playing cigar Jenga, right? Mm. All right, you're really love adjacent. You're so close to loving. Oh, if loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. So good, Avo. Nicaragua, that box press is tight. That box press is sharp. God. But anyway, so I'm sliding around boxes and I'm like, oh, smack. I didn't even know I had this box back here. I forgot all about it. Oh, no, 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 no. Wasn't going to shoot today's podcast. I'm shooting today's podcast because I found this box of cigars and I want to smoke it. And I'm like, well, I got to do a podcast. Let me do it because I'm going to spend an hour smoking it. So why not spend an hour with you, my favorite people, and do this? But we got some stuff to talk about. I talked about last week how Chief's got a new job as a tobacconist in the media person at a local lounge. He's doing great. He's doing wonderful. Um, so I'm not gonna chit chat about that, right? I mean, you can only brag on your kid so much without people going, God, would he ever shut up? It's like back in the days when you used to have slides and you'd have your friends come over after you took a vacation to Europe or whatever, back when people took lots of vacations, and they say, come on over and see our slideshow. And you would have 500 slides of Susie jumping in the pool. Oh, here's Susie jumping in the pool. Oh, here's Susie jumping off the side. Oh, here's Susie underwater. Oh, here's Susie. And little Jimmy, look how funny Jimmy is with that bucket on his head. He's so special. Right? You can only do so much of that before people are like, man, I ain't going over there no more. Now, First Lady loves everybody. She is friendly. She has friends and tons of friends, and she wants to hang out. And her friend's husband probably don't want to hang out either. And we're like, do we really have to go do this? I got cigars to smoke. I got reviews to do. Does the guy at least smoke cigars? No, really? Okay. And so she loves hanging out with people, and they chit chat and talk and this and that. And me, okay. Mm. Anyway, I got some information that I heard, and so let's get. Well, no. We have to focus on the focus. The focus on the focus is you, right? Did you have a good work week? Did you? Was everything okay? Did you get done what you want to get done? Did you take off personal time for yourself? Did you just relax a little bit? Did you enjoy the change in the weather? Did all the work project themselves out? Did you feel like you were heard? Did you feel like you made a difference? Did you feel like you got paid enough? Did you feel like you got off enough or you worked enough? I hope so. I hope so. I mean, work is work. I mean, I get it, but sometimes it's nice to enjoy a job. Sometimes it's nice to feel appreciated. So, anyway, it's the weekend. It's time for you to take care of you. You've taken care of everybody else. So, get your cigar and hang out. Thanks for letting me be a part of your day. I really do mean that. But let's get into the tea. Dun, dun, dun. Tea is an expression these kids say, spill the tea, which means I'm going to share the gossip. And this is not really gossip, but this is possibly misinformation. I have done no research. I have done no fact checking. I have done no looking into it. I've hardly done any critical thinking. I've done that thing where somebody likes what something will be said to benefit their cause or their feelings or their camp or their whatever. And so they just take it at face value and say, yes, this is it. And then they share it with everybody and blast everybody out of the water. You don't talk about those people. I'm not doing that, but I'm hoping it's true. But I'm telling you, I don't think it is. I'm not sure. Might be. Be nice if it is. Really. It'd be really cool, right? And if it is, cigar manufacturers really need to change their advertising marketing. Really do. So I was on break at work, lunch, and my lunch is 40 minutes long. And I ate a breakfast bar for lunch. That's it. Yeah, I ain't lying. I eat one of those for breakfast, I eat one of those for lunch, then I eat a dinner, right? And some peanut butter pretzels at night. I just, me and Gravity are good friends. Anyway, so I'm sitting there. I ate my little breakfast bar. In the first 20 minutes of my 40-minute break, I watch long format YouTube videos, check my email, check my socials, watch one or two 8 to 10 minute clips. Then after that, I watch short format videos, either YouTube or Facebook, usually Facebook. And I'll go through and I will watch those short videos for 20 minutes, drink my Diet Pepsi, then get back to work. Well, as I'm scrolling through these short videos, this interview of this guy who's supposedly a scientist. Supposedly, I don't know who he is. He looked like a scientist. What does a scientist look like? He did. He did. And it felt like a scientisty vibe, authoritarian feel. And he gets me in the middle of the conversation. It's like it makes you feel like they're in a 2-hour interview, and this is the snippet that's important. And so what he said was, during COVID, and that's the first red flag, is everybody that wants to push a narrative talks about during COVID. such and such and so, because it's never happened before. So you can't really quantify it. And it's very muddy, and people are very alerted when you say COVID. Either they're on the positive or the negative, but they have a visceral response to COVID. I do. I do. Um, but it said during the lockdown, they figured out what 20 toxins were in were most prevalent to people. Government did. And I hope they didn't do this, but then they injected this stuff into, I forget what animal it was, cows maybe. And within 2 weeks, the cows got some kind of growth in their brain, blastoma, or I don't know what it was. I wasn't paying that much attention. I only watched it twice. I'm really not prepared to talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. So do your own research. Don't take me as gospel. Don't say Bob said. No, Bob did not say. I'm just saying. Just something to talk about. It's interesting. It kind of ties into something else that we can play the what if game. So then they said, the government said, okay, fix them. Make it go away. Do some kind of treatment to make those growths disappear or minimize, show benefit by whatever you're doing for the animal. So evidently, as story goes, they tried a bunch of things, but there's one thing that in 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, the growth disappeared. Pew, like a rabbit out of a hat. Gone. Like my paycheck Friday after 5 o'clock. Gone. And that thing was, and it was funny when he said it, the reporter or the interviewer said it too, like it was common knowledge, which is another red flag. So lots of red flags. And they didn't footnote anything. Another red flag. And they said nicotine. Now I have heard other videos talking about the benefits of nicotine, and I don't know if it's true, because I know if you got enough money and you got enough access, if you say things enough times, people will believe it as gospel. It's a public speaking trick. If you say something 5 times with authority, then people take it as truth, whether it is or not. Say the sky's green. You say it enough with enough authority, people will start talking about the green sky. They will. I don't know. People just want, I guess. So they said nicotine. And then the clip stopped. I had tons of questions, right? I'm like, really? I wonder if it was nicotine patches. I wonder if it was synthesized nicotine. I wonder if it was nicotine from tobacco. I wonder if it was nicotine from tomatoes. Yes, there's nicotine in tomatoes and other foods. I wonder if it was a organic nicotine. I wonder if it was through a inhalation system, because nicotine is extremely easily consumed in the human body through the bronchioles, through the sacs, the air sacs of your lungs. And did they inhale it? Was it a breathing apparatus? Was it an injection? Was it a topical because it goes over through the skin? Was it an oral? Because you can get some in the oral, in the mouth. What was it? And they didn't tell me any of that. So then, as I was working, I started thinking about it. I started thinking about if nicotine was a positive factor as something for health. Wow. I mean, there have been other things that are not good that are good. Blood thinners. Uh, there's an older blood thinner that's used for people who have clotting disorders, which is exactly the same thing that they put in rat poison. True. I think it's Coumadin. Um, I mean, that's old news. I heard that from doctors when I worked in the hospital. Um, and so there's other things that you can, I've heard bee venom, snake venom, different other things can reduce inflammation and swelling and aid in vascularity and all this other stuff. So there's all sorts of stuff. I don't understand it. I'm not going to go running around getting bit by snakes and bees just to make sure I feel good, because I don't think that's the case. So I just started thinking about it. I was like, wow, well, it said that it would aid with Alzheimer's. It would aid with different types of um, fast growth cells. It would aid with a couple other things. And I was like, hmm. I know if you got a bee sting that you used to put chewing tobacco on top of it, and you'd draw it out, or meat tenderizer. You draw it out, draw out the poison. If you got a rising, you could put some, which is basically a blister or a boil. You could put it on there and it'd draw it out. Um, so there's something to it somehow, some way. Uh, but you couldn't use cigarettes as saying, well, cigarettes are good for Alzheimer's, so I'm going to smoke 5 packs a day. Well, okay, you may never, if it's true, you'd never get Alzheimer's, maybe, but you would die way before from all your respiratory um, growth in there, right? Because that's not good for you. But what if you could get natural, non chemically added, non tainted, non negative nicotine that would be good for you? If only there was the delivery system. If only there was a way to have a nicotine delivery system that doesn't mess with your lungs, that doesn't have a bunch of chemicals in it. So it'd have to be a natural agricultural product. And the nicotine would need to be natural, not a chemical made in a lab kind of thing. It couldn't have additives. It would have to be in an easy single serving dispensing system that you could gain access to, that would not be cost prohibitive. It'd be really great if it was something hmm, that already had a market, that already had places where you could purchase it and the infrastructure, so you're not starting all over again and causing a big expense. And if you could add a social aspect to it, to where groups would get together and do these treatments and maybe focus on their mental health by relaxing, by fellowshipping, by hanging out together. If only we had something like that. Wait, Wait, are you thinking what I'm thinking? No, we don't inhale cigars. They don't go in your respiratory system. Yeah, but can we consume nicotine just by putting that cigar smoke in our mouth? Oh, yes. A little bit under the tongue, gums. It's not the best delivery system, but it would give us, it does transfer nicotine. It's got a great social engagement for mental health. It's even got different sizes, different prescription sizes, right? You could get a 6x60 Gordo. You could get a little petite Lancero. You could even get it with a little bit of flavor. Price points, decent price. It's natural. I mean, have you thought about it? Cigars are nature driven. It is all tobacco leaves. The premium cigars are aged in a pilon process, which allows the um, the negative things of the tobacco to evaporate out, such as ammonia, and it leaves. And then the fermentation process turns the starches into sugars, which gives us our sweetness and our flavor. We don't we don't inhale. We get to hang out with people or hang out with ourselves. Wow. If I hope this is true because I now have another reason to smoke cigars for my mental health, my physical health. Now, some people would say cigars are the same as cigarettes. And to that, I say you're mistaken. Tell you a couple reasons why. A couple reasons. I'm not going to get into the controversial part of chemical additives, and there are. I'm not going to get into the descriptions of where they purposely put in addictive chemicals, which they did. I'm not going to go into the fact that they raised the pH of it to be acidic so that when you drew it into your lungs, that it would actually cut into the acidness of it would cut into the little air sacs to bring them closer to the blood would come up more, and that would be an easier way to dispense nicotine in the system and all the other things. I'm not going to talk about that. I just touched on it, but I'm not going to talk about it. What I'm going to talk about is something called flu curing. Cigarettes are mass produced. The business model of cigarettes is quantity. You got to get a lot out. That's why they're machine made. That's why they're the same size. That's why they're the same shape. That's why they're everything. And so they have to get it out as fast as possible. They do. It's impossible not to. They couldn't make money and sell them for the individual price per if they didn't. Right? Cigars are much more expensive. They're much more labor intensive, and because of that, you get a much more artisanal product. Okay, so it's a whole different layout. So let's get into the layouts. Like I said in the pilon, the fermentation setup, it can be anywhere between 6 months to 2 years that the tobacco has to ferment. In doing that, it turns the starches into sugars. and it allows the ammonia, which is naturally grown, naturally found in tobacco. It allows it to evaporate. If you've ever been into a a room where the pilones are set up, they keep it very cool in there because the fermentation actually heats everything up because it's fermenting like compost, right? And in doing that, it'll get hot. So they keep the air conditioner in there and they keep the ventilation there because the smell of ammonia is strong. If you ever smoked a cigar and it's got real tinny nickely flavor, really hard, really hard, and the burn line, the mascara line is really bubbly and ugly, that means it was rushed. I'll tell you that truth. I don't care what manufacturer it is, it was rushed. And that is you're pulling some of that ammonia. And it's supposed to go out in the curing process, in the pilon process. Also, when it goes from there, then it goes to sometimes it goes to sorting, sometimes it's already gone to sorting, but then it has to go into rolling, and then it's out there rolling, which still is allowed to wick off some of that ammonia if there's any in there. And then after it's all rolled, it goes into a cooling, normalizing room because the wrapper is extremely wet because it has to be malleable and elastic to make it nice and tight and shiny and pretty around your cigar. But the bunch is drier, much drier, so that you can tear off the tips and you can manipulate it into the shape that you want. The binder is usually moist because it has to be elastic. It just have to be as elastic because you won't see it, but it has to be kind of smooth because if not, you'll see it under the wrapper and it will be bumpy. Okay, a little bit of science right there. So it's got to go into a cooling room, an aging room, a normalizing room, depending on the manufacturer. That's what they call it. So it will sit there between 6 months and a year, um, sometimes longer. But it sits there and it makes the wrapper and the binder filler all the same humidity because if you got that cigar and you try to light it and smoke it, well, the middle would burn like a chimney and the outside would not burn hardly at all because it's wetter. So you're going to get a real funky burn. You'll get tunneling, you'll get canoeing, you'll get cockeyed burns, lots of stuff. And uh, just like chicken soup, when you let that tobacco rest up against itself, it just kind of blends those flavors a little bit. The flavors just kind of interweave a little bit, and they 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 add character to the blend. They add character to the smoke and the draw, or not the draw, but the smoke and the flavor that you get in your mouth. So it's another process. Uh, Hundreds of hands, hundreds of people touch a cigar before it gets to you from seed to cellophane, and years and years and years, usually 2 to 3 years it takes from the first time you plant the seed to the time it's ready to ship. Okay, cigarettes are not like that, not at all. So they do use tobacco. I'm not going to talk about the chemicals they add. Let's just pretend like that didn't happen. I just want to focus on flu curing. You ever you ever barbecue? Mm. You ever grill a steak? You ever go to a fancy steakhouse and you do a hard sear? You get you get that they get that grill up to that flat top up to 700-800 degrees. They throw that steak on there and and they and they flip it over and they do it again, and it locks in all the juices. That's great for steak because then you take and you cook it on a lower temperature and you get that middle a little bit done as well. But what you've done is you've seared in all the juices. You've locked in all of the goodness, the essenceness, all that stuff is locked in there. Comparative to like a barbecue where you're still retaining moisture, but you're doing it in such a slow way, you're actually allowing the meat to open up and the spices that you put on top of the meat is able to imbue in there. The smoke is able to get in there. If you get a real good rib or a real good slab of brisket, you cut through there, you can see that smoke line, right? That's where that smoke is just infused into there because it's open. It allows stuff to go out, but it also allows stuff to go in. Well, what's good for a steak, that sear with the juices inside, is not good for tobacco. The pilon process allows that stuff to evaporate. Flue curing, the way they do cigarettes, is they will shred the tobacco up. It's called RYO, roll your own. It's very, you've seen it. It's what's in a cigarette. It's the little shreds, right? It's tobacco. Now it's going to be stems. It's going, the whole plant goes into a shumper, all of it. And it just eats it all up. Right? Everything. They don't take the roots, but they get right down the dirt. So there's probably a little bit of dirt and bugs in there too. But they just eat it. They just and they just eat it all up. And then they take, and actually the tobacco, cigar tobacco, the stems, they will sell to cigarette and mechanically rolled, um, inexpensive, non-humidified, machine-made cigars. They'll sell that as well, and they will put that in their slurry, and they'll use that too. A farmer's going to sell everything they got. Right? They don't want to throw out any of their crop, so they have a market they can sell it to. And so they take all that, they chomp it up, and then they put it in these huge dryers, huge dryers, and it tumbles like a dryer, like your clothes, and it spins it and flips it and turns it and and it dries it and it cures it instantly. Not instantly, but very, very quickly. What that does is it makes it very fast to be able to get it to the next process because the humidity is at the consistent level of whatever the machine needs to be able to roll those cigars or cigarettes and pump those cigarettes out. So in doing that, there's no time for the ammonia to evaporate. There's no time for any of the other chemicals to release. There's no time for the tobacco to turn the starches into sugars. It just kicks, just shoots it right out there, stays in there. That's where they started adding the chemicals because it was bitter. So they add the chemicals to unbitter it, right? Because ammonia, who goes around sniffing ammonia, right? Not me. Probably not you. And so you're consuming that in cigarettes. That's what cigarettes are. There's a difference. Now, the reason I started being Bob a Cigar Guy is because I was trying to fight the FDA when the FDA said cigars are just like cigarettes. We want to ban cigarettes or cigars. We want to get rid of cigars. We want to take and they have no bans. You can't go into a humidor and pick them out yourself. They have to be behind a counter. They can't have any descriptives. They can't have any fancy names. We don't want you to make any more new ones. You can only sell the old ones. You can't change anything about them. And then you have to tell us each one of your blends, and you have to send us thousands of these cigars so that we can test them to make sure they're right. And then you must hold on to them for exhaustive periods of time because we have to test them, and then we'll tell you if they're good or not. Cigar industry would have died. Countries would have died. Nicaragua would have died. Nicaragua is cigar economy, especially Esteli, Jalapa, those areas. If there was no cigars, if there was no cigar manufacturers in those areas, if there was no farming, there would be nothing. It would be awful. It's already almost third world. It would be fifth world. I mean, it would be bad. And so it would destroy those economies. It also would destroy the art and craft of box makers, of the tobacco rollers, and of all the families that have been around for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Davidoff would not be able to put out the great amazingness that they do. There would be it would basically shut down the industry. It almost did because FDA had such a huge overreach. Companies be companying. I mean, if I've got a multi-billion-dollar company and you're telling me that my product takes 3 years to make, but now you're telling me that in less than 2 years or a year, I may not be able to sell that product that I make. I'm not going to make a bunch of product. I'm darn sure not going to put any more money in R&D. I'm not going to make any more new blends. I might have to cut heads. And so, thank goodness, through different groups and organizations, they fought the FDA, and the FDA had to back up The FDA is the government said the FDA was overreach, and we are able to enjoy cigars basically um, from the point it was before the FDA jumped in and did that in 2017. I think it was 2017. So 2016, 2014. I don't know. Been too long. Have I got my hat up here? I've got a Save the Leaf hat somewhere. Let me look and see if it's right up here. It is 2016. So Save the Leaf was a group that was doing it, that was fighting, and I was helping to fight. Yes. Average Bob, I'm a cigar smoker. And so we fought on the Capitol lawn. And that is the origin story about the cigar guy. That first night, that somebody handed me a cigar and we talked about it. Another guy said, I'm going to give you some cigars. And between him and my wife, they encouraged me. I did 5 different videos. By the first video, by the next week, somebody sent me 5 more cigars. By the 5th week, somebody sent me 10 more cigars, and people just kept sending me cigars, and I just kept reviewing. And Chief said, "Hey, put this on YouTube." I didn't want to do it, and he did it anyway. So he's the editor in chief because he had to do all the work. And here we are. So sitting here being sponsored by Camacho, right? By the way, I haven't said this today, and I need to. Number one, you need to live life bold. That's right, Camacho. Live life bold. And you smoke cigars? Man, light up a Camacho or a Davidoff or a Zeno or an Avo or a what? That's right, a Baccarat. Why not? Why not? I mean, if this is your relaxing time, why not make sure that it is a relaxing time that's going to give you what you want? If what you want is good quality smoke, consistency and flavor, you liked it last time, you like it this time, at a price point that you probably can afford with lots of options, why not grab one or 2 or 3, maybe 5, maybe a box? This Avo Nicaragua, this box press, it's fantastic. I was worried when I first popped the box on it that because the box press is oblong, it's more of a trunk press, right? It's a fancy name. Box press is supposed to be square. Trunk press is more of a rectangle. I don't think it was steamer trunk. Um, I was afraid it was going to be kind of funky in the mouth. It's not. It's very comfortable. And because it's got that glove, that baseball glove feel going to it, it really just kind of gives to the smoking experience. Um, Fantastic. Mm. This is definitely not flu cured, guaranteed. Oh, show. This is good stuff. I hope you you didn't get bored listening to all the technical stuff. I'm a nerd. I am. I don't look it, but I am. I'm a nerd. I like to know why things work, how it's made. Oh my gosh, I'll watch that show all day long. Um, the new Micro show. Um, Somebody's got to do it. When he used to do Dirty Jobs. Um, Watching what else? Forged in Fire. Anything like that. I love watching the processes. Some of the things on my bucket list is to go to a glass blowing class, like for a week. They got them up north. You can go up there and they teach you how to blow glass on the hot deck. And I would love to do that because I just want to know how things do what things do. Really, seriously. And so, being the fact that I have the opportunities as Bob the Cigar Guy to hang around master blenders and to go to factories and go to fields and to go to farms and to go to all sorts of stuff and sit around people who really know what they're talking about and just keep ask a question and shut my mouth and let them talk. I really, really enjoy listening and learning. I'll do that all day long. And then I do my best to try to retain it so that I can share it with others in interesting single bites. I could study something for 5 hours and somebody might not have the same bandwidth on. They only want to hear for about 10, 15 minutes. We were talking when I was there with Chief just recently at the lounge. It was a bunch of pipe smokers, and they were legit pipe smokers. They brought their backpack, and they pulled out 4 or 5 pipes, and they were showing off their pipes, and they had tins and bags of tobacco, sniffing cans of tobacco. Here, smell this, Bob. Here, smell this, Bob. And it was kind of funny. After a while, they start saying, "So, tell me what you smell with this." And luckily, um, I've smoked a lot of pipe tobacco. I've been around some people that really know pipe tobacco, so I kind of can sound like I know what I'm talking about. So I said, "Look, I'm smelling this and this and this, but I bet you it tastes like such and such and such and so and so." And then these guys, they're good friends. They kind of look at each other like, "All right, this boy's legit." And so I got lucky, right? And I was right. And they kept talking around stuff, and I was like, have you ever had uh, Perique tobacco? I really enjoy Perique tobacco, and I was talking about some cigars in the humidor that actually have pipe tobacco in them, and they're like Perique, and then one guy goes, and one guy was digging in his bucket because he had some Perique tobacco. He had a blend with Perique tobacco. You could not smoke straight Perique tobacco; it'd put you under the table. Um, a little dab will do you, like a lot of Kia, which is another strong pipe tobacco. Very full, very aromatic, or very flavor forward. And so the guy goes, "Pre tobacco?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I know a lot about pre tobacco. I've been to actual processing plant, processing facility. I've sat with the master craftsman of pre tobacco, who's just passed away this year. He's a good friend of mine, Mark Ryan, and I've got to talk to him about it a lot. We've talked ad nauseum about it because he just loves to share knowledge, and I love to soak it in." And so I looked at the guy. I said, "Okay, do you want the 3 minute, the 5 minute, the 10 minute?" He goes, "Well, I just fired up this bowl. I got all day." And I said, "Saddle up, let's ride." And so we talked about the Perique process, how it came from the indigenous people of Louisiana and their process of making the tobacco, fermenting the tobacco in the cedar stumps, cypress stumps with rocks, and how they transferred that over into Periquing, the Perique process. And they were very interested, and it was fun for me to talk about it. And then I talked about a couple pipe tobaccos that they were not familiar with, that have pre tobacco in it. um, and so we talked about that. It was really really neat, and that was before everybody came in, because I got there before the whole crowd showed up, our old people showed up. And so once everybody started coming in, I said, "Fellas, my people are here. Thank you for allowing me to hang out with y'all for a while." And I said my dues, and I went and sat down with the crew at a big table, big long picnic table kind of thing, and we proceeded to have a good time. So that was great. In that lounge, they have a Davidoff white cabinet. That cabinet is the White Glove series. It is only got Davidoff um, products in it. If you ever go to a lounge, humidor, and they have the Davidoff branded, nice and fancy, sometimes black, sometimes white, cabinets, usually glass bookshelves, and the Davidoff products are in there, know that the guy who owns that shop sells enough Davidoff and is Davidoff deep that they get that Davidoff experience, where they have a tier system. Not everybody can get all of the top level Davidoffs. You have to have purchased a number of Davidoffs before and moved enough Davidoff to get that premier level. And so if you go into there, you really need to look in there, because you may find something that you can't get regularly. Some of the late hours, or some of the Churchills. You can get some of the white label Davidoffs. You can't get some of the chef's editions, which I highly recommend. They're delicious. They're fantastic. Um, Down in Sand Lake, Florida, in Orlando, at a lounge that I'm not allowed to say names. Um, they have blends, shop blends. by Davidoff, and they are fantastic. Some of them have Florida sun-grown tobacco in them, which really gives that little bit of spiciness, that little bit of graveliness, that little bit of minerality and turned earth. Fantastic, fantastic cigars. And then there are other lounges. There's a lounge that's owned by a country singer, and they carry almost exclusive Davidoff and Camacho and Avo and Zeno Nicaragua. The biggest selection I've ever walked in and seen over, this is because that's humidor, over 50% of their shelf was from the Davidoff family. And I was impressed, and I was looking at him and I was like, oh my gosh, I ain't seen that. I ain't seen that. And he has his own, the country singer has his own Davidoff cigar at one, about one. And I'm going to review it, but I just haven't. I want to really, really slow down and have nothing else to do that day when I do that review, because I am Davidoff's great. Davidoff is high class. Their flavors are phenomenal, and so you really need to pay attention to it when you're smoking it. Don't work in the yard or the shop. But this is a select purveyor, select partnership, and so that thing's going to be crazy good. And so the chef blends, um, same way they get with a master like Michelin chef, and the chef uses his culinary experience in flavors to be a part of the blending process. It's not like you just say, "Hey, we're going to make this cigar. This cigar is good. We're going to put your name on it. We're going to give you some money." It's not like that. They're going to be like, "Hey, let's partner. We want you to come alongside our tobacconist, our master blender, and we want you both to come out with, I want this kind of flavor to match with this kind of flavor." And then he goes and figures out what tobacco blend would give you that flavor. And then you let it sit and age, and then you smoke it. Because here's the funky thing about cigars. If you want to make a blend, you get your tobaccos, right? You know what your tobacco tastes like, kind of. And so you say, I want this, 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 this. And so you put them all together, then you smoke it, and you're like, all right, I like it. Let's put some age on it. And then you let it sit, and it has to kind of hang out together, because where you put the leaves together matters. I don't know why, but the flavors will change. If you put the leaves in the bunch, right, the cigar in the middle, the tobacco in the middle, if you put them in different positions, it changes construction, combustibility, it changes smoke output, it changes everything, and it also changes flavor. I don't know how. I mean, I'm smoking it all, I'm burning it all evenly. I don't understand why it does it, but it does. And I haven't checked with just one master blender. I've checked with a number of them, and they all say the same thing. And then I say, why? And they say, I don't know. I think they do know, but they're not going to tell me. Why would they tell me? They've been a master at this. They're not going to just let some yokel know their secrets, right? Because I'm going to run my mouth about it. Duh. Mad respect for them for that. I wouldn't tell them either. Colonel Sanders don't tell you what the herbs and spices are, right? Well, what the heck, right? I ain't hating it. But there's a difference. And so you do that blend, and you might have loved it. You make 5 different blends that are kind of close, and then you age them, and then you come back and you smoke, and you're like, that did not brighten up like I thought. That pulled a funky flavor. What? That doesn't. No. All right, we're close. Let's do it again. We're close. Let's do it again. Many, 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 many blending sessions usually go into a great cigar. So when you get the chef series, it's the same kind of thing. So yes, it takes 3 years once a seed to cellophane, but that's not including the R&D of figuring out your blend. That's taking out that part. That could be years. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. When the FDA shut down new blends, in theory, they were going to shut down new blends, and they say you're not going to get no more new blends. There's all these master blenders, and they're paid good because they're in charge of blending. They're master blenders for a factory. And I've asked them, I said, hey, let me ask you a question. You're a master blender. Now that you don't make any new blends, what do you do? I mean, you're not blending anything. You're just taking and putting the tobacco together and you gotta go to blend. Why not do it that way? I said, oh, see, there's your problem. The thing is that it's an agricultural product. The climate, the rain, the sun, the soil, the temperature, all of those things affect the tobacco. So yes, it's going to taste like this, but it's going to be a little more this or a little bit less punchy, or it's going to be a little more smooth, or it's going to be a little more this and that. And so I can't just say last season we blended with half a leaf of um, Seco Mexican Cinegrass and a quarter leaf of Viso Braganca and a third of a leaf of Brazilian Mata Fina, and then we put little strips of this in there, and then we rolled up with a leaf of Habano, Ecuador, and that's the blend. Well, that's not going to taste the same. I have to go in there and I have to say, okay, this is a little stronger than what it usually is, and then I have to adjust. I have to adjust. I'm like, serious? He said, yeah. And I said, and you got like 50 blends, 75 blends. You got to do all that? And he said, yeah. And I said, dang, that's crazy. And then I said, how do you remember what it tastes like? I take a lot of notes. If that's what I'm saying, I take a lot of notes. And that's why there ain't many master blenders around, because you got to be a special person. You got to almost be a Rain Man to be able to remember all that stuff, to be able to keep that in your head. Because you can't, all right, this Avo Nicaragua, amazing cigar. Let's say this Avo Nicaragua is a 15-year-old blend. It's not. But let's say it's been around for 15 years. Davidoff wants this cigar to taste like that first cigar you smoked 15 years ago. Whether you remember it or not, they want to keep consistency because it's sold back then, it will sell now, and we want to make sure that you have the same product that you expected. Okay. So I go get one of those 15-year-old cigars. I kept a bunch, keep 1,000 every year. And I'll smoke the 15-year one. And I'll smoke the 14-year one, the 13-year one, 12-year one, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this year should taste like all of those. They should all taste the same. Well, here's the problem. Aging a cigar changes flavor. If you have a very strong cigar, peppery cigar, you're going to pull out different nuances and notes after 5 years, after 7 years. If you've got a lighter cigar, you're going to lose some of the punch and some of the sweetness is going to come forward. So even if you said, I don't need my things, I'll just go smoke this cigar from 15 years ago and I'll make sure that it matches with that cigar. And it doesn't work that way. So you have to remember. Crazy, right? And we don't talk about that as cigar consumers. We want consistency. If I have a Camacho red, I want to taste like Camacho red from 5 years ago. I want to go back to that moment. Wine? Now you hear these wine people, they're like, oh, this was a great vintage of the Savernet Cabernet uh, 2003, which is a little bit more higher in tannins than the 98 Cabernet Sauvignon, right? Each one's different because of the growing cycle, because the grapes produce this or that, or they made smaller grapes, which is going to be more acidic, or they have more rain, which is going to make them larger and they're going to be more sweet, but not as acidy and all this other stuff. I mean, they say, well, you can't have the same all the time. Well, cigars, they want you to have the same all the time. We expect as consumers to have the same cigar every time. We want what we've had. If we want something different, we'll try something different, right? I don't know about you, but I have cigars in my rotation that I'm like, when I want this flavor, this is what I grab. That flavor, this is what I grab. If I want a cigar that's going to make me uh, just feel chill and give me a little bit of transition and give me a little bit of pump and a little bit of excitement, I'll get a Zeno Nicaragua, right? I'll grab that thing real quick. That yellow band will just pop on me. It'll just get me in that zone, and the flavors will just run with it, right? Camacho Red, Triple Maduro. Um, you get an Avo. You get a Quattro series. You get a Davidoff white label. You expect that to be what it's always been. I do, and then I want something different. I will buy something different. I will say I want to experiencing something new, and so I would get a Camacho Limited 25th, right? And that's new because it's the 25th, right? It's different. I want different. Maybe I'll add to my rotation. Maybe I'll just say this is one and done, right? So try it yourself. Get you some cigars. Try this. Buy. Now I'm gonna tell you to do it. I'm gonna suggest you do it. Have enough room. Go to marketplace and get you not one of these humidors, right? That's you got to be goofy to have one of these. 3 of them, you're just dumb. Um, get your humidor big enough. Buy yourself a 20 count box of cigars. Whether it be Camacho, Davidoff, Avo, Zeno, Nicaragua, Zeno, Baccarat, whatever. I would say, unless you can afford it, buy a smaller Vitola. They're going to be less expensive. You're going to get 20, at least 10. Get at least a 10 count, a blend that you like. Buy it, and on the bottom of the box, write 20, 25, right? 2025 on. Next year, buy another box. When you get that other box, smoke the first one from 2025, smoke the next one from 2026. You see where I'm going? 2027, buy another box. When you get that box, smoke a first one from 2025, smoke one from 2026, smoke one from 2027. When you get the box in 28, 29, 30, whatever, until you get to the point to where you have got one last left at 25 and it's now 35 or 34, or whatever that would be. And you're smoking 10 cigars all day long. Go through them and experience the difference in the aging process. Because I will tell you, the blend is going to be extremely close every year. The flavor profile is going to be extremely close every year. It is going to be the aging that makes a difference. If you can't do that, I get it. Buy a 5 pack. Wait a year, buy a single or 4 pack or whatever, and then just work it that way. But if you have the ability to, and you have the discipline to leave them alone, do that. Because there are times when I will go into my humidor. I've got some barn smoker packs from 7, 8 years ago. I'll come across them every once in a while. I still got them in there. And there will be, the Velvet Rat, the Liga 9, the T52, maybe an Undercrown, something like that. And so I will pull one of those out and smoke it in comparison to the cigar of today. The flavors will be the same, but they will be different. They will be smoother. They will be mellower. They will be more subtle. The blending will be a little bit more on the blendy side. It's hard to pick out the individual flavors, especially on a darker experience, a heavier experience. Boy, I hope you've stayed. I've had such a great time running my mouth. Yeah. That it's already time to go. I could do this all day. I love hanging out with you. You're such a great listener. And I love talking tobacco. I hope you had a good time. Leave me a comment. Tell me if you like this kind of content because I could do this all day long without thinking. I don't need a script for this. I think it's not my strong suit anyway. But I hope you're having a great day. If you are home Make sure the car's in park. Get out. Shut that door because life begins on where? On the other side of that car door. Get in that house with the people that love you and the people you love. Enjoy your life. Take your moments. Live to the full. Live life bold. If cigar smoking is what you do, I'll recommend Davidoff, Avo, Zeno, Nicaragua, Camacho, Baccarat. Get you one, try you one. Try you two. I'll see you later. Have a great weekend. Later, Tater. God, Nugget, this was a good show. I had a good time. Did you have a good time? I had a good time. I did. I had a good time. Man, this is good stuff. I don't know what I was going to talk about, but this is all right. All right. I like it. I like it. I like you. The cigar? Ooh, I like it too. Bye bye.